Okay, people. So here's the thing. I just watched this film, which has just hit Prime. Okay, just hit Prime in the UK. And Prime is a weird fucking thing because there are times when it will say something is new, right? When you look and it's like release date 2022. But when you look into it, you then find that is not new, right? And yeah, so I watched this film because it said it was this year, it was new. I'm now found out it is not new at all. But it is interesting, right? Because it shows what someone has come from, right? So, yeah, the film is Timer. And the thing is, I don't know, man. For the life of me, I will say as well, it also said it's a horror. It's not. This is no way a horror film. Like I'm just like, it's a horror in some of the storytelling, but it's not a horror. But for the life of me, I thought that I had tried to watch this. Uh, I think it was Fantasia last year or Final Girls, but I wasn't able to watch it. So I was like, oh shit, yeah, let me watch this film. No, I've got it completely mixed with something else, right? But it is directed and written by Jac Schaeffer. Now, and when I say it's interesting to see where someone, because she went from doing this is a debut film, right? And then, last year she did One Division. One Division, she co-wrote Black Widow. You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh shit. You know what I mean? She's now killing it with the writing, but this one not so good. So she produced it along with Jennifer Glynn and Ricky Jarrett. Harris Charalambus handled the cinematography. Peter Sanet did the editing. Andrew Kaiser handled the music. Um, our cast, right? We've got sisters Honor O'Leary, played by Emma Chawfield Ford. She's got a sister called Steph, who is played by Michelle Borf, but it's Steph DePule. Same mothers, different dads. So their mum is Marion, played by Jo Beth Williams, right? They've got a brother called Jesse, played by Hayden McFarland. Yeah, their dad is Paul, played by Tom Irvin. And you have Anya's dad is Dan, who plays Dan again? Desmond Harrington. All right, so who else is there? There is Mikey. Yes, Mikey Evers, who is played by John Patrick Amadori. All right, we have Priscilla, played by J.J. Ellis. Cindy, Christine Jacquin. Tammy Carlette Lee. Eric is Forrest Erickson. Yeah, I mean, that's the main ones. You've got Patty, played by Callie Rocha, right? And the gist of the story is this: when implanted in a person's wrist, a timer counts down to the day the wearer finds true love. But Anya O'Leary faces the rare dilemma of a blank timer, which isn't as rare because we then find out in the film that her sister Steph has the same thing. right? So it's played like it's only Anya, but then they kind of be like, oh yeah, Steph's got the same thing, which they don't really say until near the end. Her soulmate, whoever and wherever he is, has yet to have a timer implanted. Staring down the barrel of 30 and tired of waiting for her would be life partner to get off the dime, Anya breaks her own rules and falls for Mikey, a charming and inappropriately young supermarket clerk with a countdown of 4 months on his timer. So, yes, that's the gist. It's a bit like Kill the DJ. Remember that Black Mirror episode, which, oh, it's one of my favorite Black Mirrors. It is so fucking good. But I kind of feel that is played, it's a lot darker, right? And it's a bit more realistic to what this is. Because I think the thing with Timer, it's a little predictable, right? Because you have, there's, I think the thing with, Kill the DJing is, you know, you had some people, right? Because it was about your time with someone, right? So sometimes it's like a day, a week, a month, but you never knew, right? So you wore these things, and then your wristband would then go off, right? It tells you, like, I think you can check it and it will tell you, but I think the thing was, if you checked it, it could change the time, right? So with this, right? It's saying this is when you will meet the person of your dreams, right? So, and you're meant to, I think you get them when you're young, right? It's saying when you turn 16, 17, that's when you can get these things implanted. So from the giddy up, all right, so I'm gonna meet the love of my life on this day, you know. Uh, so that's the gist, right? But yeah, with Hate Kill the DJ, people are just like, all right, well, then we just do our thing. I mean, we live life, right? So we enjoy this time we have. And as you saw with that, you could see that at the beginning, people are just like, oh, but then it can wear you down for sure. But you live that life, right? But in this, it's just like, well, I'm going to, even if it's like, oh, you're going to meet your person in 5 years' time. So that means you don't date, you don't do anything until, because it's not like every day you go in going, right, this is going to be the person. No. Now, it's not saying that you go out there and it's just like, well, I'm just gonna fuck everyone and do no. Now, listen, some people want to do one night stands. All power to you, you know what I mean? But it's like that doesn't have to be what dating is, right? You can be like, all right, let's see how this goes. Let's see if we can build something. And if suppose you're meeting someone in 5 years, you don't know what that person you don't know if you're going to have the same beliefs and moral infrastructure as that person, right? It's saying that you will meet this person on this day. Doesn't say you're going to be overly compatible. I think there was that I think it's Soulmates on Amazon, right? Which looked at that thing, right? So you had people meet their soulmates, but sometimes it's just like, I mean, yeah, okay, and you saw people get together thinking, I don't know if we're overly compatible, but we're meant to be. So, all right, let's do it. And you think, yeah, it didn't explore it, right? Her sister was dating because, as I said, she didn't have a timer. She didn't have a date on her timer. So she was just dating. And it was like, oh, I can't believe you're doing that. Oh. And it's just like, what? But to have a different point of view, you were kind of crazy in this film, which that is the weird thing, right? It's whole depiction of relationships and everything, you know? There's the whole right. So Mikey, the age of Mikey and the age of Anya, it's not overly crazy when you think, but she's 29 in the film, right? So it's not the craziest age gap. I mean, there is a gap, but there are worse gaps. But it's also a bit like, all right, fine, meet someone your own age, which you could do, but you're choosing not to. Right? That's the thing. You're making these choices, but then going, oh, everything is against me. And you're like, no, these are your choices. Like, these are the things you've decided to do. Now, they add in these plot twists, but every plot twist, you can see where that's leading you. You can see, like, the brother getting his timer, right? As soon as that happens, you know where it's gonna lead, right? And it leads you to this thing, and it's just a bit like, oh no, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? It's so, ooh, it's so ridiculous, right? It's so ridiculous. You know, that like the characters aren't really fleshed out because it does that thing where you have because you know at the start there's like Step and Anya are best friends, they're sisters, they live together, they tell each other everything, but then you get those bits where suddenly things change and they start not telling the truth to each other, and it's a bit like there's no real reason why you wouldn't. Right, they try and make up these weird reasons why it's just like, oh no, everything's a secret now. You'd be like, why? Why the fuck would that be a secret? Like, it don't make any sense here. What are we doing? You know what I mean? It's weird. It is a very odd film, right? I wouldn't say it's horrible acting or anything like that. It's just the story is really simplistic. You know, I mean, it's not a true depiction of, relationships. And again, we have that thing at the end, right, where the conclusion is, I'm doing this thing. And the thing that gets done, you're like, all right, literally 5 minutes before you did this thing. Oh, 5 minutes before you did this thing, you were saying the complete opposite. But then all of a sudden, you're like, oh no, my world has completely drastically changed. And now this is my viewpoint. And you're like, what? That's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Because it's like, what was the thing that gave you that? Because nothing has changed, right? Everything is still the same as it was 5 minutes ago. But boom, reality is struck, and I'm gonna live my life like this. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, what the fuck are you doing? It's crazy. There's another thing that she does when it's just like, wait, you didn't listen to it. Why would you pass something on without listening to it? Now, it doesn't mean you have to like it, but you would give your point of view. Like, I listened to it. It was great. Or it's not my kind of thing, but it's a bit similar to blah blah blah, and they're huge. So yeah, it seems like the thing you might want to like. You think there would be that, but yeah, it's weird, man. Like this whole Mikey situation, because he's an idiot. You know, what I mean? He's an idiot. But it's like, I'm suddenly falling in love with him. And you're just like, "Oh, why? Like, what was the thing that changed your mind? There's nothing, right? It's a puddle. right? You want an ocean, and what you get is a puddle. That's what Timer is. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's not my kind of thing, right? It's not the rich story I go for. But as I said, right, so that's the crazy thing about it all, because when you see what Schaefer has gone on to do, you're like, huh, okay. You know what I mean? Now you're kicking ass. But yeah, your films kind of suck. But yeah, like she also she wrote Captain Marvel, right? So she's written like these big things. She wrote a Frozen spin-off. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, she can write, and she can do good shit. She can do good shit. So it's kind of funny that she went from this meh film, like she gave up directing, it looks like, which that's fair. The direction, like again, it's not the worst thing, but it's not groundbreaking, right? There's nothing that you'd be like, oh my god, this was like, whoa. No. But yeah, the writing, whew, writing, yeah, she's become very good at a writer. There is no doubt about that. She also showrun One Division, which is pretty huge. So yeah, if you're kind of curious to see where she started, as a juxtaposition to where she is now, then boom, check out Timer. But yeah, if you loved Kill the DJ, it's not that. You know what I mean? It's nowhere close to Kill the DJ, people. So yeah, but Timer, it is now on Prime Video.